Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Jack and Brody, two of the physiotherapists up here at Be Mobile. And not sure where you're joining us from. You might be one of our members or our 8-week Fit and Strong program participants. You could be watching us for the very first time ever. So a little bit about us, Brody.
Yes, we are physiotherapists, as Jack said. We run exercise classes and one-on-one exercise here in our exercise studio in Eleanor Heights. We do home visits to people around our community, helping them maintain their fitness and strength and balance and things. And of course, as many of you will know us from, we do online exercise programs designed by us for people 55 plus, and 100%. They can be accessed anywhere around the world. So welcome.
Yeah, and our big mission is to change the community's approach to aging through effective exercise and education. So that is what we are all about. That is our bread and butter. Hopefully the audio is good this week, folks. We had a couple of audio issues last week, but hopefully it is sounding good.
Sharon and Gillian saying hello. Pleased to be here from beautiful sunny Brisbane. It's a beautiful sunny day in Sydney here as well, Jack. Now, we've been working hard on some great YouTube videos and content lately, Jack.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some good stuff on our YouTube all about exercise and health and things. But one thing that was suggested is that, and I think it's a really great idea, is we could give people a guide on how to go up and down stairs without falling over. So that's something we're going to work on. What do you think, Jack? Yeah? Could be pretty good. And I think,
I'm happy with that.
We're going to call it our step-by-step guide. Crickets on that.
Well, listen, folks, I think the moral of the story is you can't win them all. You cannot win them all. Hopefully you found that one funny.
Yeah. It wasn't a joke.
Oh, we're actually doing that?
Okay. Yeah, it was
beautiful. All right. Well, listen, folks, I think we might as well get into our little education segment today. Speaking of falling over, we're going to talk about floor mobility.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about how to get up off the floor.
Who here finds it difficult to get up off the floor? We can't see you raising your hands, but I'm sure some hands are going up at home.
This tortoise's hands certainly are. It must be pretty hard to get up with a shell like that.
It's a very cute tortoise.
Yeah.
Yeah, today we're talking about floor mobility. But Jack, what is floor mobility? How would we define it?
So the ability to get up and down from the floor. And this is probably one of the most common concerns, I would say, amongst our clients 55 plus, because it takes a lot of strength and it actually takes a lot of mobility, which we're going to be discussing in a bit. And actually giving you a test that you can do yourself to test your floor mobility.
So it's getting up and down from the ground. It's also moving around or maneuvering on the ground. That's part of what we call floor mobility as well.
Yep.
And it can be relevant in lots of different applications and sort of aspects of people's lives, whether it's gardening, whether it's sports and activities, whether it's household chores like cleaning and reaching for things and getting under the couch.
Playing with the grandkids, we always talk about.
Looking after pets, like sometimes you have to get down with the pets to, wash them, clean them, play with them, like whatever it is. Various things in life require that ability. And it's something that typically declines as people get older. It becomes often harder to do.
Yeah, and then people start avoiding getting down to the floor. So they stop those activities and they're fearful of getting down from the floor, primarily because they can't get back up again. So this is why we want to train it and not neglect it. And there's some ways to do that. Now, Brody, why should we train floor mobility? We just talked about all that, but I think it's quite a poignant story recently that one of our online members told us about because we had talked about floor mobility, and she said that she'd broken her wrist, fallen over and broken her wrist, but thankfully she'd done all the strength work prior and all the floor mobility training. She was able to get up off the ground just using one hand on her legs, even with a broken wrist. So that's like a really stark example of why you should be trained.
Yeah. And so that member would score pretty highly on the test we're going to talk about in a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, hopefully, and luckily that's not a super common occurrence where someone's going to fall and break a wrist. It doesn't happen too often. But there are other reasons we should want to train floor mobility as well. We just talked about some of those everyday daily tasks that when you are better at getting down to the floor and maneuvering around, they become a lot easier. So that's a big reason as well.
Yeah, and it's also just a full body workout.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, you have to kind of crunch up with your abs. You have to push up with your arms and your chest, and then you have to use your legs to lunge up off the ground. Yeah, so you're using a lot of muscles there, which is awesome. Now, Brody.
Another big reason it's important to train is it's a big predictor of all mortality. Basically, the chance of continuing to be alive in a certain number of years is really strongly predicted by your ability to get up and down from the floor. Now, we're going to talk about a little bit of research which backs that up.
Yeah, and I dare say, I mean, this is just theorizing, but it's because we're using so much of our strength capacity to be able to get up off the floor. So it's kind of a good indicator of strength and flexibility and mobility.
Yeah, it's a good sort of proxy indicator of lots of that sort of stuff, that just general physical performance and ability. So this interesting study in 2014, it was done in Brazil by some Brazilian physiotherapy researchers. They had just over 2,000 people in the 50 to 80 age range perform what they call the sitting rising test, which we're going to demonstrate in a moment. And then they looked at how that sitting rising test was a predictor of people's mortality. So they followed them up over many years. I think it was about 14, 15 years was the average from that study, and saw what people's health status was like and just whether or not they were alive and whether their score on that test earlier was a predictor. So I'm going to put this little graphic up on screen which shows you the test. So if you just look across the top first, the idea is this person starts in standing. The idea is to sit down so their bottom is on the floor and then get back up again using the least support possible. So the least hand or knee or etc. use that they can. And you can see that the maximum score is 10. If you can do that perfectly, you get a 10. The second sort of row along those images shows each of the things that would deduct a point. So if you have to use a hand, that deducts 1 point. If you have to put a knee on the ground, that deducts a point, etc. So it's how well you can do that test. It gives you a score out of 10.
Mate, should we?
I think we're going to have a go.
Let's get into it. And folks, if you're at home and you've got some space, you can, of course, try this test if you are comfortable doing that. Brody, you're going to run me through it. Are you good, sir?
Slide these out of the way.
Oliver, do you mind? We'll just make sure you can see. Oh, you can probably see us, actually.
Okay.
How are we looking there?
Now, we don't want everyone at home to try this test. We want you to use your own common sense reasoning whether this is appropriate for you to do right now, okay? Because not everyone should just give this a go right off the bat. You have to have some balance and coordination and strength to give it a go. The test is done without any furniture or any support around, but if you're just going to try this by yourself, we definitely recommend having some furniture next to you for safety and assurance. Jack, this is the test. I want you to, standing right there, sit down onto the floor and then get back up again using the least support you think is necessary to do it safely.
Okay, now, truth be told, I did this yesterday with Brody, so I kind of know what I'm doing, but I'm going to cross my legs and I'm going to try to sit down.
Good. Oh, that's the easier bit. Now getting up.
Okay, now.
Pretty good. So nearly a 10. I would deduct half a point there, Jack, which is part of the testing criteria. Half a point if you sort of wobble or lose balance or can't do it super efficiently. So I think you score a 9.5 out of 10.
Okay. So I'm going to be all right. Now, I'll just show from the side, like some people might find this getting down pretty hard.
Yeah.
You might have to use a hand, Brody. So that would mean 1 point deducted.
Yep.
And you might have to use two hands. So that's two points deducted.
Great.
And
maybe getting up, you might use a knee. You might get into a lunge position on one knee and one hand.
3 points deducted.
And all the way up. So there you go. You'd score about a 5 out of 10 for that one, Jack. Okay. So that's more realistic for probably what a lot of our members would be able to do.
Beauty.
There you go. That's the sitting rising test. All right. But importantly, what did they find? Was this test predictive of all-cause mortality? Well, yes, it was. That's why we are talking about it. Yeah, a little bit further in.
A little bit there.
Great. All looking good, Ollie? Lovely. So, yes, what did they find? They found that this test was very predictive of mortality. The lower score someone got on that test, the higher their risk of mortality, the less likely they were to be alive from various things. It doesn't really matter what. It's, as we said, all mortality.
And we've got a graph there, BMO, you'd like to bring up. Listen, we love graphs at BMO. We know they're not always exciting, but we've got the graph man himself. Brody, can you briefly explain? I'm colorblind, so I think that looks like a black...
I'll explain that. Colorblind people. Sorry, this isn't as accessible for you, but look, we've got 4 lines there that represent the 4 sort of quartiles of SRT scores. Top line at the black, 8 to 10 score. 14 years later, you can see the percentage of survivors is on the left. So something like 90+% of people were still alive 14 years later who could score 8 to 10. The next line down is a green line, which is their score was 6 to 7.5. The next one, the blue line, 3.5 to 5.5. And that red line that plummets down to the bottom corner, people who could only score 0 to 3 on that test, only 60% of them were alive around 12 to 14 years later.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very handy graph. So once again, the amount of balance, strength, mobility, and flexibility it takes to be able to do that test successfully is quite high, which is why we think it's quite a good predictor of mortality and your mobility. So,
and it's worth saying, if there's a specific reason right now you can't do that, like you've just had a hip replacement,
you've just broken your wrist.
Exactly. You obviously can't do that. Then it's going to be less predictive and not as relevant. But you can hopefully understand that test is a good indicator of overall strength, ability, balance, flexibility, all those sorts of things. That all of those being higher is much more chance of living a longer life, but also a sort of healthier, more capable life as well.
Love that. Now let's talk about improving your floor mobility, because you can actually improve your scores on this test. So, so don't think, even, let's just say you're completely healthy, otherwise you haven't broken a wrist or had a hip replacement recently, but you're still scoring lower than you would otherwise like. You can improve this and actually increase your chances of being healthier and longer.
Yeah, so main ways you can improve that, working on strength is definitely a big one. So if you're doing our programs, all the kind of squats, lunges, deadlifts, push-ups, all those things you're doing are really working. If you're new to us and you're not, anything where you're working to improve your strength with resistance training, whether it's body weight exercises, weights, weight machine, anything like that is going to disability. So that's strength training. What else can people do?
General physical activity is going to be good as well. So just anything, well, like, I mean, even non-exercise related things. So around the house, getting down in the garden more, exposing yourself to the floor more. Like, for example, when you're around the house, getting down in the cupboards, don't be like, oh, I'm not going to get down on the floor because I don't want to have to get back up. Expose yourself to that, so you do force yourself to perform it. Right?
And that's the main thing. That's how you're going to improve it. Let us know in the comments if you had to go at that test and how sort of well you think you might have scored. I'm just going to skim through the comments now, Jack, see if there's any questions I want to get to before we move on. So Sharon, Julie, and Heather all saying hi.
Hello.
Linda also hello from Townsville. Brenda says good morning from a very wet UK. Glad that you're keeping up to standard. Thank you, Brenda.
I don't know what type of standard that is, Brenda, but we'll take it.
Val saying hi. Maria saying hi. Some guy called Ollie jumping in the comments. Oliver Halliday. Okay, I don't know what that guy is.
I think he's actually he's that male model from Mudgee.
There you go. Now we've got that. We'll just get Ollie to put that reference for that study into the comments, because I did use their graph directly. It is right to reference the study, and those authors. De Brito was the lead author. That was in the European Journal of Preventative Cardiology. That study, very, very cool. Interesting research. So thank you to those researchers for doing that.
Yeah, I really want to know what people score. I think it's so cool doing tests, bit of a challenge. And if you don't do it now, just try it out later at home. Maybe try it out with your loved ones, your family, your friends. Share it around so you can.
And please don't feel bad if your score's not great. One, that doesn't mean you're about to die. And two, it's a really hard test. A lot of people over 50 are not going to be able to get 8, 9, 10 out of 10 for that. Most of you are going to be using an arm and knee, something like that.
And I would actually say, if you can kind of lunge up from the ground using one hand on your knee, that's awesome. That's kind of good. All you need, let's be honest.
Yeah.
You don't have to be out with no hands, because very rarely will you break 2 wrists.
That's been very unlucky for you.
Yeah. Okay, folks. Well, hopefully we enjoyed that little education segment. Now, speaking of strength, we just wanted to let anyone out there know who is just joining us or just joining the Be Mobile ecosystem and community that we do have a free platform that you can access, a free online platform where we have free strength workouts, tutorial hubs, so on and so forth. So we're just going to do a quick screen share so we can show you inside the portal, which all of our members will know very well. So Brody's going to share his screen here. Is that all good, Ollie?
This is what it looks like when you log in. You'll see all you need is an email to log in. You don't need to put a phone number or a credit card or anything like that. Just an email gets you a free account, and you can log in and see the dashboard here. We've got some free workouts, which I'll show you. Up here, Jack, we've got a strength, a balance, and a cardio workout. So you can get started from home. Here's Ollie and Alicia taking you through a nice beginner strength workout.
And Brody, I'll say one of the best things about having the variety of strength, balance and cardio with a variety of physios, if you're getting sick of Brody and I, for example, you can move on to the other physios as well.
The other thing we've got on this page is this tutorial hub section over here, which has got a lot of great information about exercise, getting started, why you should strength train, balance, all sorts of stuff, and managing health conditions. So over here you can see osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, muscle weakness, pelvic floor for, etc.
The osteoporosis videos is a great one.
Yeah, so if you want to learn a little bit more about any of these conditions, there's Ollie looking absolutely lovely.
God, he's got a bit of hair there, doesn't he?
This video is a good example of takes you through that education stuff. So that's all things you can there.
Great. All right. Well, thanks for sharing the screen, Brody. Yeah, so if you want to sign up to Be Mobile online platform, it is legitimately free. We're not asking anything from you. There's no credit card or anything. It is legitimately free because we want to get people exciting. So, Ollie, if you don't mind chucking the homepage, bemobilephysio.com.au homepage on there, you can find that at the very top of the page.
Yes, and yes, we have paid products, online exercise programs you can pay for, but that site, all that stuff we just showed you is free as a starter to see if we could be right for you and if we could help you. Jack, a few comments coming through. Karen said, I'm embarrassed to put my score 6, but we'll try it again later on the carpet. Karen, 6 is solid. Don't be embarrassed by that.
No, absolutely. Because remember, it's on the way down and on the way up. So you might use your knee and hand on the way down, knee and hand on the way up, and that's all it's 6. So don't stress. That's awesome.
Roz is saying hi. Maureen says, everyone, my 30-year-old son went up and down, no problem, perfect score. I'd like to see his score in future years. Linda says, no hands, no knees, no chance. Can get down and back up again with the help of one hand and one knee. Linda, that's like an 8. That's a pretty good score.
Up on screen.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. So there's Linda. Yeah, I think that's a pretty darn good score.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, there's Maureen saying how son perfect score. We'd like to see what he can do in the future as well.
Yeah, record that, put it in a time capsule, open it in 30 years, I reckon.
Sharon said SRT score 7, which I'm not unhappy about. Yeah, you shouldn't. Good score, Sharon, there. Nicely done.
Well done.
Well done, everyone. Thanks for having a go.
Brody, let's jump into some Q&A.
Yes.
We love to answer some questions. Just a bit of a disclaimer about this advice that we're giving. It's very general in nature. It's not specific. If you do have any worries, definitely go see a health professional, your doctor or your local physio or whatnot. Especially if you're worried about something being a bit more serious.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we'll get into Judy. One of our members asked a question.
Go for it.
Judy says, I'm doing a very long proofreading job for the BBC, which will take weeks. First of all, that's cool.
I'm also really interested to know what that is.
Yeah, tell us what it's about, Judy.
We'd love to know
what the topic is. But Judy says, I proofread the hard copy rather than on a computer. So it's literally paper, then she's looking down for hours. Sometimes my neck hurts so much it wakes me up. Any exercises to ease it? What can Judy do?
Great question. So firstly, I think that's an epic project you're on, proofreading that's taking hours and hours.
Yeah.
One of the things I would say to just do first as a strategy is to break up the time that you're reading that. And this takes discipline if you're someone who loves reading and just, going through it for hours at a time. So,
or if you've potentially got a deadline like Judy does and you got to get through it, and that can be hard to do, right?
Yeah, 100%. But you could even still break it up by a couple of minutes here and there. So every half an hour, set a timer. This is how I would do it. I'd set a half an hour timer. Boom, you've finished reading it. Get up, move your neck around. Just go for a little walk around your house, whatever it is, sit down for another half an hour, go, and then maybe take a 5-minute break every hour, for example.
Yeah, and that might actually, you might think that's taking time off your work, but it potentially can make you actually more productive and get more done.
And less neck pain.
Yeah, so that's one. Number two, obviously the time you're spending in that position is probably a provocative factor for your neck pain, and that is in some sense unavoidable because you do have this work to get through, but definitely trying to find different positions if possible. So you mentioned it's paper copy and you're having to look down. Maybe you can set something up in front of you, a laptop stand or like a music stand or something where you can get it at a little bit higher height. Be reading it, make notes and adjustments when you need to, but then put it back up again. Maybe you can recline back in a couch a little bit with something holding it up in front of you so your neck can have a little bit of a rest, but you can still get some of the reading done. Again, taking it down to make edits and things when you need to. So that's just a suggestion of just trying to vary different positions. You might do some standing up.
Can you touch on posture a little bit there? Because I know you like talking about this. It's not that bending over reading, this is not an inherently dangerous or bad position. This is a common myth that we hear all the time. People have been doing this for thousands of years and our neck structure hasn't really changed.
Yeah, it's not bad for your neck to be leaning forward, but lots of time in that position can be provocative for some people. So that's what we're addressing. Not bad to do, but changing. So you could try maybe standing and reading. You could try maybe something high like a kitchen bench. Just as a different surface, a different level, a different angle, just to try and mix it up. Those are some suggestions. Now, Judy just asked as well about sort of specific exercises, anything in particular. There's nothing in particular. Maybe those neck muscles actually just need a bit of a break and a rest, and that loading them more might not be helpful. But I would say just general activity like walking, getting in your strength sessions, doing some cardio, doing some arm and shoulder exercises is probably going to be helpful. There's some research showing arm exercises like front raisers and lateral raisers and things can be really helpful for people with chronic neck pain. So anything using it for the body will be a good idea.
Nothing to add.
Good.
Hope the proofreading goes well.
Yeah,
and I
good luck,
can't
Judy.
wait to see the next murder mystery from the BBC. Okay, question here from Bron Brody. I'll read this.
Yeah.
Bron says, I'm suffering from a really bad case of sciatica. Does anyone have any tips for relieving it? It's now at the stage where I'm not sleeping.
Yeah, tough, Bron. It's a horrible condition. Can be really nasty.
Can we just describe the condition briefly, bro?
Yeah, so sciatica is sort of the name, the umbrella term people give for when they're having pain radiating, usually down the back of the leg, usually related to some lumbar spine origin, meaning some sensitivity of those nerves, the sciatic nerve and its related sort of partner, friend nerves. What provokes it can be sometimes disc bulge causing some compression or some squeezing of the nerves. This usually, it almost always isn't dangerous to the nerve. Nerves are actually very strong, thick, robust structures.
Flexible.
They can bend and twist and move, but just sometimes that pressure is enough to irritate and sensitize them. Sometimes there's some swelling and inflammation in that space. Again, similar thing, not long-term damaging, but can be that little bit of swelling or pressure can be really uncomfortable for the nerve. It's a frustrating condition to deal with. Good news, typically you get a lot of improvement in the first sort of 12 weeks or so. So most people are going to have a lot less symptoms by about 12 weeks, but still that's 3 months. That's a long time to be dealing with something that is very, can be very significantly painful.
Now tips for relieving it. I think this is going to depend on the individual. You know, some people you'll say, sitting in a chair, put the knee over and bending forward to get that stretching feeling in the back of the bottom in that glute there. You know, that might work.
Might be worth trying.
It might also work just going for a walk or maybe sitting less. But then again, for some people, they find sitting more helps them.
Yeah.
So to be honest, Bron, we can't give you a specific recommendation here for exact exercise. I would say exercise in general that you can tolerate is going to be the most important thing for potentially desensitizing the area, but secondly, just proving to yourself and giving yourself confidence. Okay, I can move. It's not a serious issue I need to be worried about. This will go away.
Yeah, and we have a YouTube video all about sciatica in which Ollie goes through 3 exercises which can help, and that's just gone up on our YouTube this week, actually. So Ollie will share that in the comments. If anyone else, Bron, if you haven't seen that yet, those are just suggestions of some exercises that can be quite useful in those sort of early stages. Yeah, Bron, it's tough. You might need to go to your doctor to get more pain relief, pain management potentially, just to get through this rough period because it is really tough. It will get better, but it does take time. My mum went through this basically earlier this year. About 3-4 months ago, she got a really bad case of it. She was absolutely miserable. She was in tears with me a few times. Like she was really, really struggling. And it's hard. It's heartbreaking because there's nothing I could immediately do to sort of help her and fix her except just keep reassuring her to be active, live life as normally as you can, get out, walk, exercise. She didn't really believe me that it was going to get better, but the other week I saw her and it's been about 3-4 months now and she's basically completely pain-free. And she's like, in that time when it was really the worst, I couldn't believe that pain was going to end. But now looking back at it, like it was a rough period, but I'm pain-free now. So it will get there, it will get better, but you just got to sort of ride it out, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, hope it goes. And let us know how you go, Bron. Thanks for the question. We'll take a question here from Maria, who's also one of our members at Be Mobile. She says, I have a niggling pain in my left hip running down to my knee and in my groin on my left side that wakes me at night. Yesterday, I did a weight session. It shows me I just need to keep moving. It's also my gait. I think my left leg turns a bit like pigeon-toed when I walk. So I think this is why walking brings on the pain. I notice when standing, my feet rolling. I have flat feet, but have switched to barefoot shoes a few years ago, which I've liked. Great. She says, the pain wakes me at night and I'm weak on the left side when walking upstairs. Do you think I need a scan to see what's going on there? Best exercise to help. Yeah, thanks for the question, Maria. I don't know, we went back and forth a little bit on email, but I thought it'd be nice to answer it here as well, Brody.
Yeah, so firstly, it sounds like a bit of a tough situation, Maria. So our sort of sympathies for you. It's obviously difficult to deal with. In terms of what you can be doing now, it's the usual stuff of trying to continue to exercise in whatever ways you can, just modifying that exercise. Whenever people have a pain condition, basically whatever's causing that pain, keeping as active as possible is going to be helpful. Whether there's some significant problem with the joint or not, whatever's causing the pain, just being active and continuing to exercise in whatever way you can is definitely the right path forward.
And Brady, I would say if you are getting things like night pain, I mean, it depends if you move in a certain position or you're asleep and that position hurts your hip. But if you are getting constant pain and maybe some night pain, it might be worth visiting your GP just to check off, make sure it's nothing more sinister or serious. But it does sound to me like, some hip joint pain, potentially some hip osteoarthritis type changes. But once again, a lot of this is managed, and we actually did this in the show just a couple of weeks ago in the last 2 weeks. This is still managed through land-based exercise, weight loss if that is needed, and also education. And speaking of education, Ollie, I believe we have a hip OA video coming out in the near future. Is that in the next week? Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, our hip osteoarthritis video comes out.
Sorry, I broke that a little bit early. Sorry, folks. I don't like to usually.
It's a good one. It's some of our.
So it's quite a it's like a
15 minutes.
15-minute comprehensive video.
Yeah, really good. Talks about what hip osteoarthritis is, what you should and shouldn't be doing, and then some exercises which can really help, which are a little bit different to just our usual workout exercises as well. Some sort of specific hip ones.
But keep up your membership workouts, Maria, and do the tolerable versions of the exercise. Reduce the weight. Change the exercise if you need to slightly. And, obviously email us if there are specific exercises which you feel like you can't cope with.
When you see a health professional for something like this, whether they're a physio or a GP, there's sort of a criteria of sort of questions and things they should be checking for to indicate whether a scan like an X-ray or an MRI is necessary.
Good point.
And so we can't just answer that for you, Maria, without more follow-up questions and doing a proper assessment consult. It would be irresponsible. But yeah, you've got some of the signs that indicate maybe, maybe not. So it's sort of one where maybe, as Jack said, it is just worth getting checked with a local health professional and seeing what they think, and then deciding the best course of management from there.
Okay.
Good luck with it, Maria. Keep doing what you can in the meantime. Don't stop exercising. Keep doing what you can.
Yeah, and keep us in the loop there. Question here from Karen. This is from the comments. She said, I've always wanted to know, what is the noise when you can hear/feel your bones cracking? I have it in my spine, but it doesn't hurt. Well, funnily enough, we've also done a video about this recently. Ollie, we have a video about joint noises, do we not? Has that been released?
We had a little YouTube short that went up recently about that.
Might like to link to that.
Basically, there's a few different kinds of noises that our lovely bodies make, Karen. There's the knuckle cracking type noise. There's also the sort of grinding, bubbling, sort of rice bubble type noise that sometimes our knees or hips make. Like when I squat down, my knees are click and crack and sort of rice bubbly type noises.
There's obviously bottom noises, bowel movements.
We're not focusing on those today.
We're talking about snap, crackle, and pop, aren't we?
Yeah, sure. So there's two main types of noises. When you crack or pop a joint like that, essentially gas bubbles is the answer. Our joints are enclosed in like a capsule. So it's like airtight, watertight capsule with some lubricating fluid inside it. There's some complicated physics involved, but basically when you stretch a joint past its usual range of motion, creates a negative pressure, which forms this gas bubble, which then pops within that lubricating fluid, the synovial fluid in our joints. That's why you can't do the same knuckle again usually right away, because that gas needs time to sort of dissipate and dissolve back into the fluid before that pressure barometric change gas bubble pop can do it again. So that's what those pops and cracks are when a physio or chiropractor cracks your back, or when you crack your knuckles or your neck like that. That's those ones. What about the sort of nothing to be worried about? Totally normal noise our body makes. What about the other kind of noise, Jack? The sort of grindingy rice bubble noise sometimes.
So
with cartilage in our joints.
Right? What we think of is cartilage around joints. So the synovial fluid moving, for example, around the kneecap, with all the little ridges that we have in our patella, could be something like that as well, but also could be some of those gas bubbles popping in those areas as well. Do you reckon I can get see if I can, because people usually associate with this, well, I'm older, I shouldn't have these noises, but Brody and I'm just going to try to get some noises.
Get some good knee cracks.
Let's see if I can get some knee cracks as I squat, folks.
Give it a go on. Oh yeah, that was a big one.
Hopefully you heard that, and my knees are absolutely fine, no issues.
When you're a baby, cartilage is super smooth, but throughout your life, it typically gets rougher, and that's even by teenage years, 20s, 30s. It's not just later in life, it's just all through your life that cartilage is becoming rougher. And sometimes the rough bits of cartilage rubbing together, the lubricating fluid, as Jack said, bubbling and moving through that cartilage is what gives all those grinding, cracking, popping noises. All very normal, all totally just part of being a human and nothing to be worried about.
That's right. Okay, well, thanks for the question, Karen. That's awesome, Brady. We'll just check the comments, make sure there are no other questions we need to answer.
Brenda says, "Oh wow, Jack, worse than mine." There you go. It just shows different.
But once
people
again, I'm not worried because they're just noises, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Good. No other comments that I can see, Ollie, unless I've missed something.
Awesome.
Looking good.
Folks, thank you so much for coming on live. We do appreciate it. And obviously, if you're watching this on replay as well, we appreciate it just as much.
Yep.
Because, not everyone can get here. If you're halfway across the world, it might be nighttime for you or early morning or something like that.
And if you have any questions you want us to answer, feel free to drop them in the comments. As always, we're just going to riff a little bit and give some general advice, not super specific. If you've got ideas for topics you'd like to learn more about, by all means, give us some suggestions that we can do. Yep. Live shows, other longer videos and things that we film on topics that mean the most to our community of people that we're trying to help get fitter and stronger. Yeah, and if you want to go to our YouTube channel, we have a ton of educational and exercise videos there for you to peruse, whether it comes to osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, joint noises, healthy habits, protein in diet, whatever it is, we have a lot of that. So, Ollie, if you don't mind posting the link to our YouTube channel, or you can access any of the videos that Ollie's posted in the comments as well. And subscribe to our YouTube, follow our Facebook page if you want to catch these live shows we do each week at Wednesdays, 4 o'clock p.m. Sydney time, as well as catch all our new videos and stuff when we put them out if you like learning about this stuff like we do. Great. And folks, to our members, I'm getting married this weekend. You are. And then I'm off to Sri Lanka for a lovely honeymoon trip for 3 weeks. So just because you're getting married, you think you get time off? Yeah. I know. Well, this is it's my first day off in 10 years. Yeah, yeah, sure it is. So I'm off for 3 weeks, so I won't see you. And I go pretty off grid when I travel, so I won't be seeing anyone there. But I'll maybe send us a picture or two that we can post in the group. I will promise to have plenty of pictures either while I'm there or when I'm back. Yeah, so but I'll miss you all, but I look forward to seeing y'all when I get back. Okay, that's it for today's show, folks. We hope you enjoyed it and found something useful. As I said, we do this each Wednesday at 4 o'clock, so you can catch us then next week. Okay, see you later, folks. Bye for now.